Walters is the spot again for Florida State football in D.C., and their opener is a big one this Saturday at 3:30 against Alabama. Those attending the Nats-Rays game are, of course, welcome to join the FSU fans. Walters has plenty of TVs, both inside and outside, located across the street from the ballpark.
The crowd enjoying this three-run rally in the fifth. Yankees have broken it open. The 1-1, long drive right field. Chisholm standing to admire, and that one is gone. Into the second deck, just tucked it in around the foul pole. And Chisholm makes it 7-0 New York. Here's the 1-0. Swinging a fly ball right center field. Grisham chasing it back. This one is deep. It's going to be over his head. It's going to be gone. Jacob Young has a grand slam into the Yankees bullpen. It's Young's first homer of the season. It's his first ever grand slam. And the Nationals have scored 5 runs. It's now 10-5 Yankees. Jacob Young goes opposite field for a grand slam. Of all things.
And welcome to Nats Chat, along with MASNsports.com Nationals insider Mark Zuckerman. I'm Al Galdi, host of the Al Galdi podcast. If only more Nationals players hit for power like Jacob Young. Well, the number one team in MLB's 2025 regular season in homers by miles is the New York Yankees. 218 is the Yankees' home run total now. The latest 3 came at the expense of the Nats, who got out-homered 3-1, this in a 10-5 loss at the Yankees on Monday night in Game 1 of a 3-game series. The Nats in this game scored 5 meaningless runs in the top of the 9th. 4 of the runs came via a grand slam by center fielder Jacob Young. The Nats fall to 53-78, worst record in the National League East, second worst record in the National League, and the run differential now is minus 158, second worst run differential in the NL. This installment of Nats Chat is brought to us by Window Nation's 50% off sale. You get 50% off with an in-home consult. The sale expires on August 31st. Schedule your estimate right now, 866-90-NATION, or visit windownation.com. Brad Lord has done so many good things for the Nats this season as both the starter and a reliever, but he on Monday night got rocked. The Nats bullpen had some problems as well. And yeah, Mark, I had to laugh, man. We have seen this so many times. The Nats in a game in which the team has done nothing, in a game that is a blowout loss, they end up scoring runs in a 9th inning to make the score semi-respectable. And it's not just that the Nats did this again, it's how they did this. A Jacob Young grand slam. And yet another Nats loss in this dismal season. I found humor in what happened in that 9th inning. I was able to laugh and take some enjoyment from this game via Jacob Young, of all people, smashing a grand slam at Yankee Stadium.
So, yes, I had the same reaction when he hit it. And of course, it's like, oh, finally, Jacob Young hits his first homer of the year, and it's a grand slam to trim the deficit from 9 to 5 runs. Of course, that would be the case, that would happen. Let's be clear. The results of what happened in the 9th inning were meaningless. As we've discussed, this team is among the league leaders in runs scored in the 9th inning. Sometimes that has helped them come back to win games. A lot of times it's done exactly what we saw in this one. But here's what I do want to say about it. And I'm actually serious about this part. I thought there was some really quality at bats in that inning. And I want to give credit to the 2 guys who drew the walks that kind of got that thing going. And that's Dylan Cruz and Robert Hassel III. What I liked about that was at an end of a game in which they easily could have just rolled over and said, we're done with it. Both those guys actually battled through those at-bats. They didn't give away the at-bats. They both went full count. I think one of them was 8 pitches. In Cruz's case, we know that's kind of in his DNA. He's going to fight every single at-bat. He's going to play hard no matter the situation. In Hassel's case, I thought that was a really good sign. He drew 2 walks in this game. He has barely drawn any walks this season. It's been a huge problem with him. It's one thing, hey, who cares? The game was over. It didn't matter. But it would have been a lot easier, I think, for somebody to just start swinging at whatever he saw, and he didn't do that. What I would love to see is for those guys and everybody else in this lineup to take that same kind of mindset and approach they showed in the 9th inning and apply that earlier in the game when it does feel like at times they're just giving away at bats. How many times were they down 0-2 in this game? It felt like it was almost every single at bat, the first half of the game at least, that they were behind in the count constantly not giving themselves a chance. And what you finally saw in that ninth inning was that they battled, that they took some pride in those at-bats. They seemed to care about it. They didn't give them away. It's time to see that approach every at-bat, every day. And I think that's especially true here over the final 5 weeks of a season that's long gone, but on an individual level is still really important for a lot of these young players.
It was something how we had the first 8 innings, and then we had that 9th inning with this Nats offense. The Nats on Monday night, 5 runs, 9 hits, 5 walks, 1 for 4 with runners in scoring position. If you just see that and nothing else, you say, all right, that's not that bad of an offensive performance. But all 5 of the runs, 4 of the hits, 2 of the walks came in that top of the 9th. That was, and we cannot accentuate this enough, garbage time. Like, the game was done. Everyone recognized that. And yet the Nats, I guess you say to their credit, put forth a bit of a charge in that 9th inning. The Nats for the game, 9 hits, a home run, and 8 singles. So with Jacob Young, he is the Nats starting center fielder and number 9 batter, went 1 for 3 with a grand slam and a walk. Now, he did get picked off at first base, and I do think there's a conversation to be had here about a guy with his speed making as many outs on the base paths as he makes. It drives you crazy with him. But the grand slam, a 2-out opposite field grand slam to right center to cut the Nats deficit to 10-5. You mentioned this being his first homer this season. It is just his 4th homer over 956 career MLB regular season plate appearances. He hits for no power, and that he hit a grand slam at Yankee Stadium was pretty funny. But yeah, you could argue actually the most notable thing from this game for him from a standpoint of bigger picture is him getting picked off. What do you make of a guy with this speed, a guy who should be an elite base runner, making as many outs on the base paths as Jacob Young makes?
Well, first of all, it's not just him. We have seen this across the board from a lot of the guys in this team. And there's another egregious base running mistake to talk about in this game. I know you're going to get to that one later on, involving Josh Bell and CJ Abrams. In Young's case, what I have seen, remember, he started his career with something like 30, maybe even more than that, consecutive bases stolen before he was finally thrown out for the first time. And I think the first time he was thrown out, it was on a replay review at second base. So it even looked like he was safe. It was initially called safe, and it was overturned. And what you have seen since then is a completely different situation. And watching him, I think you see this a lot. He takes that big lead, and he very frequently, it seems like he's leaning back. He never looks comfortable. He doesn't ever get that good, clean jump. And when you have started to get picked off, I think it puts it in your mind even more, and it just never looks comfortable. And it's happened to him. It's happened to Abrams. It happened to Wood in Philadelphia. There is no excuse for being picked off as often as this team is. And if I suppose you say in James Wood and CJ Abrams' case, okay, they're contributing in so many other ways that it's not the end of the world, that you can say, okay, that's one black mark on otherwise good stuff. If you're Jacob Young, you cannot afford anything like that. If you're not going to hit for power, and we know he doesn't, aside from this one once in a generation, once in a blue moon grand slam, if you're not going to hit for power, and he doesn't even really hit for average and get on base that much, doesn't draw a lot of walks, then your calling card had better be good base running, and not just not getting picked off or not making outs on the bases, but aggressively earning extra bases because of your speed. And it's a good example of how it's not just about speed, it's about actual base running acuity. It's a real problem. I know I get lots of questions all the time. You've been hearing it too. Whenever he's in the lineup, why is he still playing? And we cite the defense that he provides in center field. But there's a point here where you have to say that offensively, it is way below the standard that you should expect from an everyday big league player. And you can live with a guy who doesn't hit for power if he's doing the other things, the little things right. Bunting and base running, moving runners up, making contact, drawing walks. He has not shown an ability to do those things this year. And it's why more and more you just say to yourself, he really should not be an everyday center fielder for this team, no matter how good the defense is. You have to provide something at the plate and on the bases of value, and he is not doing that right now.
Yeah, he pretty clearly is a number 4 outfielder, which is not a bad way to make a living. And with his defense, I think he is worth having around. But the offense isn't very good, as we have discussed. And, with the stolen bases, he has 13 stolen bases this campaign. That's it, 13. Like, for a guy with his speed, you think, all right, well, he's so fast, he should have, a stolen base total in the 20s or 30s by the time we get to the end of September. He's 13 for 23 on stolen bases. I mean, that's not good, but just the stolen base total, it's unimpressive. There's nothing special about that. And so it's like, okay, if your speed isn't going to produce big time in terms of stolen bases, to say nothing of the lack of efficiency in terms of stolen bases, and you're getting thrown out on the base pass, you're getting picked off. It's like, what exactly are we doing here? The defense is nice, but there does need to be more than that, and he's not providing that. And he is in this battle right now. The Nats have this abundance of young, promising outfielders. He's got to do everything he can to showcase himself, and there's not enough being showcased for the moment, even though he hit the grand slam on Monday night.
Well, you said, he looks like a fourth outfielder. I'm going to even question that because, yes, the defense says, yes, you can be a leading defensive replacement. If you're going to have that job, you also better be the guy they call on to pinch run. That's going to be your role if you're coming off the bench. And if he cannot consistently prove that he is better than the guys he'd be replacing on the bases, and by doing that, I mean not getting thrown out, not getting picked off, actually using your speed to your advantage to gain extra bases that other guys couldn't get, it's hard to even find value in saying, well, he's just a defensive outfielder, and therefore he's deserving of even being the fourth outfielder on a good team. And so I think any idea of him as a long-term answer in the lineup has pretty much gone out the window at this point. But I think he's even fighting at this point to prove that he should be the fourth outfielder. You have to provide something from an offensive standpoint. And in his case, that needs to mean base running. It needs to mean bunting, which he has not done a good job at either. It needs to be fundamentals, doing the little things. You can live without the power. You can live without a high batting average. But you better do all those other little things well in addition to the defense that he plays. To me, if you're going to be a fourth outfielder, you can't be one-dimensional. You have to have a second dimension that makes it worth it bringing you off the bench late in the game.
Well, at least he can always say he hit a grand slam in the 9th inning of a game at Yankee Stadium. Jacob Young does have that. Hey, it's Al Galdi for Window Nation. Summer is starting to wind down in the DMV. Your air conditioning is working overtime, just trying to keep your house and you cool and comfortable. What can you do to make a difference? Well, you can replace your old or builder-grade windows with windows from Window Nation. Call 866-90NATION or visit windownation.com and tell Window Nation that you want the following deal that you're about to hear about here on the Nats Chat podcast. This month only, you can schedule a consult and get 50% off all window styles. Plus, you could even get your windows with 0 down, 0 payments, and 0 interest for 2 years. 866-90NATION or windownation.com. Tell Window Nation that Al Galdi from the Nats Chat podcast sent you.
Runner Bell goes, pitch is a strike, the throw down, and he's out at second and the inning's over. Wow.
I think they tried the first and third play again, and Bell didn't stop. Didn't get into the rundown for Abrams to score. Abrams came in, but didn't cross the plate in time.
Nope. So he is out on the stolen base, 2-4. DeYoung will lead off the 5th inning.
All right, the other big base running blunder by the Nats in this game. Top of the 4th, CJ Abrams leadoff single, Josh Bell 1-out single. Nats have runners at the corners, 1 out. Riley Adams pops out, and then the problems happen. What happened in this spot?
We've seen this play before, and it involved Josh Bell. And it's a called play, designed play that he takes off from first. You hope to draw the throw, and then you slam on the brakes, get into a rundown, and the trailing runner scores. That's the way it's supposed to work. It has not come close to working either time they have run that play. There is zero excuse for that. And to me, in this case, why are you even calling that play again? Like, you're really going to trust them to pull that off after they've proven they can't do it? And it starts with Bell because, as it was the case the other time, he realized, oh, I think I have a chance to make it. I'm going to keep running. No, just stop. Draw the throw. Get yourself into a rundown. You're not trying to steal second base. But it also goes to the guy on third, in this case, Abrams, who didn't seem like he was ready for it. He didn't take off the moment that the throw was made. It only works if you do that. Such a botched play. The game was still somewhat competitive at this point, and it just killed any momentum that they had. I do not understand, number one, why you're calling that play when we've already seen it not work before. And number two, doing that with Josh Bell. I'm sorry. It's been proven now. Josh Bell is not going to do you anything on the bases. He's going to do a lot of things to help your team out. Base running isn't close to anywhere on that list. Stop calling for that kind of play. Give your hitter, who's actually been one of their better hitters lately, a chance to drive in a run instead of that kind of nonsense.
This is another example to me of Nats interim manager Miguel Cairo wanting so badly to win and to do well. And so he's trying to pull out all the stops, right? And so here you have the Nats at the mighty Goliath, right, at Yankee Stadium. And Cairo's like, all right, I'm going to showcase myself. We're going to try to manufacture something here. And of course, it ends up totally and completely backfiring. Yeah, that play is a debacle. That play's got to go out of the playbook with how infrequently it has worked for the Nats, especially when Josh Bell has been involved. A few other offensive notes for the Nats in this game. 3 more strikeouts for James Wood. He did have 2 hits. He is the Nats starting left fielder and number 1 batter, went 2 for 5 with 2 singles, but the strikeout problems continue. 3 strikeouts. Wood now for this month of August, 6 walks, 38 strikeouts. Luis Garcia Jr., he is the Nats starting second baseman and number 3 batter, 2 for 4 with 2 singles. And we in this game did have a promising youngster in the lineup for the Nats, third baseman Paul DeJong. He is the Nats number 6 batter, went 1 for 4 with a single as the decrepit veteran Brady House was given the night off. So good to see that. I was glad that Miguel Cairo did that.
The young buck showing up well, got a big hit there in the 9th inning to help him out. Glad to see that. I think he does need some more playing time before the season is over. I think we've seen enough of Brady House to know that there's not a lot left for Brady House to prove this season, right?
You know, there's great irony. Paul DeJong, right? DeJong. His last name is DeJong, and we're begging to see a guy who is young to play in place of Paul DeJong. I don't know. There's some sort of poetry there that I've picked up on.
On Paul DeJong's jersey, I think the part of the jersey that's more appropriate for him is the AARP patch, as opposed to his name and what it sounds like. The AARP patch is more appropriate in this case for Paul DeJong.
You can always email us, natschatpodcast@gmail.com. I'm tired of hearing myself say it, so I'll let Mark Gerson say it. Mark writes, can you explain to me why Wood, Cruz, Lyle, Hassel, and House are not in the lineup every day? It is... I'll substitute a word here, ticking me off. Thank you for the email, Mark. I hear you. Brady House especially. There's zero excuse at this point for him to not be playing nearly every day, but we do see Paul DeJong in the lineup on Monday night. Well, the Nats starting pitcher in this 10-5 loss at the Yankees on Monday night was Brad Lord. Brad Lord has been so good for the Nats this season. We have sung his praises, and justifiably so. But Brad Lord on Monday night got ripped. He allowed 7 runs, 6 earned in 4 1/3 innings. He gave up 8 hits, which were 2 home runs, 2 doubles, and 4 singles. He issued 2 walks. He did record 5 strikeouts. He did throw a lot of strikes, 78 pitches, 52 strikes, 26 balls. Lord in the bottom of the 5th allowed 5 runs. He, in facing 6 batters, gave up a home run, a double, and 3 singles. The homer went out 2-run homer by Jazz Chisholm Jr. to right field for a 7-0 Yankees lead, and that was it. Brad Lord then got pulled from the game. We're not used to seeing this from Brad Lord. He gets victimized by the big inning, and he ends up having an overall bad outing. Like, there have not been many of these from him, so we're not going to crush him for this, but this was an un-Brad Lord-like performance from him in this game.
Yeah, it's a couple of big moments that cost him. The home runs, of course, and, that Jazz Chisholm one, it's like not a terrible pitch down and in, and he just turns on it and lofts it to the moon just down the right field line. But he also, I feel like it wasn't as bad as the final numbers looked. You had that Judge bloop double just down the line. That was not a bad pitch at all. He jammed him on it, and obviously one of the best hitters in the world. He was able to, get him to make weak contact on it and just poorly placed from the national standpoint. You had a ground ball up the middle with the infield drawn in. 2 runners are on. They scored both because of that. If you're playing at normal depth, if you don't have the runners in scoring position, it might be a different story. To me, it was actually the first inning. He had the 2 walks very uncharacteristic for him. And then a pass ball on Riley Adams. And now it's second and third, and he was in a jam right away, and he wound up giving up the one run. So I think that was a case of a good Yankees lineup in that ballpark. It's a tough assignment for anybody, and just a couple of mistakes will cost you, as it did. I think he probably pitched better than the numbers did suggest from him, but it's a reminder of just how good and how consistent he has been, that a start like this really stands out, because we just have not seen that from him. And whether he earned all the 7 runs or not, he gave them up to a very good team, and you hope he picks something up out of this about how, especially against a really good lineup like that, you can't afford any mistakes. You can't afford to give him free passes, put him on base, and then you got to keep yourself in spots where you're not in a jam facing second and third, when all of a sudden the infield's coming in, that kind of stuff, and just, hopefully get them with a typical defense playing behind you.
Lord did have 5 strikeouts in 4 1/3 innings. That was good, and he threw a lot of strikes. Like I said, 78 pitches, 52 of which were strikes. I did not like seeing Jazz Chisholm homer off Brad Lord, but I have to tell you, I did get a good chuckle out of the Jazz Chisholm pimping of the home run. He has a charisma to him that is actually pretty funny to watch. He's from the Bahamas. We know this. A lot of guys who aren't from the U.S. have a charisma to them in terms of how they play the game. I actually think it's good for the game, but I got a laugh out of that. I mean, Chisholm admired that homer for a good long while before he started rounding the bases.
Oh, and then he paused before he even got to home plate, too, right at the end of it. Had a little move there at the end. When he was with the Marlins, it was kind of viewed as, oh, what's this guy all about? And, he's kind of fun, but it's on such a bad team, nobody's paying attention. He goes to the Yankees, and I know there was a thought of like, can he still be himself? Or the super corporate New York Yankees going to rein him in, and his teammates aren't going to let him, and the coaching staff isn't going to let him show that personality? Well, it seems like he's still showing it. He's performing. He's hitting more home runs. I mean, some of these guys they have are hitting 20, 25 homers. You look at it and you say, that's not a power hitter. How's this guy doing it? Credit to the Yankees. They've hit more home runs than anyone, as you said. It's almost 50% of their runs scored this season have been on the home run. They teach it. They preach it. They have a ballpark that's suited for it. And it is a huge part of their game. And you can see how it's not just Judge and the big boys. There are guys that you don't think of as traditional power hitters who are hitting 20, 25 homers for them. And there's still, 5 weeks to go in the season.
The Nats and Yankees, each team has played 131 games. The Yankees have 218 homers. The Nats have 125 homers. It is impossible, if you are a Nats fan, not to be just steeped in jealousy when you see something like that. Like, you see the Yankees, right? And they are the Yankees, unlimited financial resources, one of the historic franchises in all of sports. We all get that. But it does show you, this is possible. This is doable to have 200 plus homers, and we're not even through the month of August. And this should be the mindset of an organization. We can do this. You just talked about how the Yankees preach the homer, coach up the homer. This can be done. And as the Nats are in the midst of trying to figure out where they're going from a baseball operation standpoint, these are the things that I think should be in the minds of the people making the decisions here. How do we do that? How can we become that? What's the roadmap to us being the team a year from now, 2 years from now, that has 218 home runs, 131 games into a regular season?
And again, they're showing they can turn guys that are not necessarily classic home run hitters into them. I'm looking at Trent Grisham right now, their leadoff hitter. He's got 25 homers. He had never hit more than 17 before. He hit double digits a few times. You think of Trent Grisham, certainly from back when we saw him with Milwaukee in 2019, you think of him as a little guy, a speed guy, a bottom of the order kind of hitter. That guy has 25 home runs right now. There is a way to teach that stuff. Now, some would argue that you maybe lose something in the process, that it's that kind of all or nothing swing that can come back to haunt you. And let's be clear, the Yankees hit a ton of home runs. They're also in third place in the AL East. So they're not running away with it like they were last year, where they were clearly the best team in the American League. They're still fighting for their lives right now and just had a really rough series against the Red Sox. So it can't just be all home runs. There's got to be more to it than that. But as we talked about, a couple months ago now, when the Nats were hitting homers, it makes up for so much else. And if you just have that threat across your lineup and you're not counting on one or two guys to hit it out, but a bunch of others, it can turn a game like this, which probably could have been a lot more competitive than it was, and it turned it into a rout because of a couple of big swings they put together.
Yankees, by the way, also have a major league best 504 walks. So number one in the majors by a good bit in homers, number one in the majors by a good bit in walks. To do the compare and contrast with the Nats again, each team at 131 games, Yankees 504 walks, the Nats 376 walks. Big time difference there.
Save the date. The Nats Chat end of year podcast party will be Friday night, October 10th, at Walters. Start time is TBD.
Henry delivers, swing and a high fly ball to deep right. Cruz going back, warning track at the wall. It is going and gone. 3 rows deep into straightaway right field. Jason Dominguez is in the hit column with his 10th home run of the year. It is a 3-run shot here off Cole Henry. With 2 out of the bottom of the 7th inning, it's now the Yankees 10 and the Nationals nothing.
The Nats relief pitching on Monday night. 3 Nats relievers combined to allow 3 runs in 3 2/3 innings, but 2 of the relievers were good. Jackson Rutledge tossed 1 2/3 scoreless innings with 2 strikeouts. Cole Henry allowed 3 runs in 1 inning. He gave up, yes, a homer. Bottom of the 7th, gave up a 2-out first pitch, 3-run homer by Jason Dominguez to right field for a 10-0 Yankees lead. And P.J. Poulin tossed a scoreless bottom of the 8th, despite giving up a 1-out single and then issuing a 1-out walk. Other than Henry, Rutledge was good, Poulin was good. You can't say this was another good game for the bullpen, but 2 of the 3 guys did do well. And, if not for the 1 pitch there, it actually maybe isn't such a bad outing by the bullpen. So I don't see this as like, oh, here we go again with the Nats bullpen. I think this is more, you got on 1 pitch, but otherwise Rutledge was good and Poulin was good.
And, Rutledge has actually been pretty good over a stretch now that we have not seen from him. That's usually not high leverage spots. We know that, but you got to start somewhere. And for a guy who's teetering on the brink, as we've discussed, I mean, if he's going to keep himself in this mix beyond this season, he's going to have to finish strong. So it's been nice to see him do some of that. Poulin's been pretty good, as we have discussed. Henry, has been used in higher leverage spots. And I think they got to a point they're like, hey, we just need him to pitch. We haven't seen Ferrer in a couple of days now. The bullpen is in a lot better place than it was not that long ago. Now, they haven't done it long enough to make any real declarations about this in the bigger picture, but they have certainly helped solidify things. And if nothing else, have kept games within striking reach. And that didn't necessarily apply to this one, but it wasn't their fault that it was 7-0. They did their best to keep it manageable once they got into this game.
So next up for the Nats is Game 2 of this series. Game 2 is Tuesday night at 7:05. MacKenzie Gore will be the Nats starting pitcher. What to expect from MacKenzie Gore? He had that 4-start slump. Then he was good over 2 consecutive starts. And then he in his last outing was not good. A 9-3 Nats win over the New York Mets at Nationals Park this past Thursday, August 21st. Gore in that game, 3 runs in 4 1/3 innings. So I'm not sure what we should expect from MacKenzie Gore. Obviously, he's better than the way he has been pitching overall when you look at his last, month or so. But 5 of his last 7 starts, he has not been himself. And he, since the All-Star break, has not been the pitcher he was before the All-Star break. And, of course, this is not an easy matchup pitching at the Yankees on Tuesday night.
So I'm reminded of almost exactly 1 year ago. I think it was this week a year ago that the Yankees were at Nats Park and MacKenzie Gore pitched one of his best games of the season. And it was at that point that it looked like everything was falling apart on him. And we thought, oh my God, this guy against Judge and Stanton and Soto. And he handled them extremely well and really made a case for himself and started that process of turning his season around and finishing strong. So I would love to see that kind of thing from him again. I think this is a big start for him. Go into that ballpark, knowing everything that's at stake for New York, and go be that aggressive number one. I want to be the guy on the mound facing those kind of hitters that we have seen from him in the past. If you want to finish this season strong, this is a great place to get that started with. Make a real statement. We'll see. You don't really know what you're going to get because of how it's gone for him lately. But I think it's actually a really big and important start for him, more so than Brad Lord or Cade Cavalli, who you would love to have seen Lord pitch well. I would love to see Cavalli pitch well in the finale. But they're rookies, first time facing the Yankees. You're not going to read too much into it. In Gore's case, he's done this enough now. I think this is a really important start for him to come out there and show that he can be that number one type pitcher again against that lineup.
Well, the other thing, too, is if he's going to get his season back on track, we're 131 games into the 162 now for the Nats. Like, the season is starting to wind down here a little bit. You're looking at 31 games left. And so if he doesn't do well on Tuesday night, how many starts exactly does he have left in terms of the rest of the campaign here? So, yeah, like, now is a good time to start getting back on track if you're MacKenzie Gore. Hopefully he does. This installment of Nats Chat is brought to us by Window Nation. Window Nation's 50% off sale. You get 50% off with an in-home consult. The sale expires on August 31st. Schedule your estimate right now, 866-90-NATION, or visit windownation.com. All Nationals radio highlights on Nats Chat are courtesy of 106.7 The Fan. We have a website that we invite you to check out, natschatpodcast.com, at which you can purchase a Nats Chat Podcast t-shirt. For Mark Zuckerman, I'm Al Galdi. We thank you for listening, and we'll talk to you next time on the Nats Chat Podcast.
Hader the set, the kick, here it comes. Swing and a line drive.